Hi, everyone. We are just waiting for a few more people to join, and we'll get started. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I am Victoria. I am a solutions architect at Workflow Magic, and I am thrilled to be your host for this exciting session. Today, we will be reviewing the QuickBooks Invoicing App, recently released within Monday.com last month. Workflow Magic is a Monday.com Silver Channel partner dedicated to helping businesses optimize their processes, and this is our incredible team. Let's kick things off with a quick overview of today's agenda. So we will be quickly reviewing the QuickBooks platform, and then we will go on to the setup and the demo of the new QuickBooks Invoicing App. We'll move on to how to and the highlights of the CRM product within Monday. And we will finish things off with a Q&A session. So now I will hand it over to Eddie, who will briefly talk about the QuickBooks platform.
Thank you, Victoria. As we delve further into QuickBooks, we are excited to offer you the opportunity to try the QuickBooks Invoicing app within Monday.com for 4 weeks, absolutely free. Please take a moment to scan the QR code displayed and enter your details to claim your free trial. We will pause briefly now to allow everyone to use the mobile devices for scanning the QR code.
Yes, Patty, we will be showing the QR code at the end of the presentation as well. So not to worry. Ciara, yes, we will be sharing the recording of the session afterwards.
Okay, let's move forward. I hope everyone managed to scan the QR code. If not, don't worry, you will have another chance to do so at the end of this webinar. Now, let's take a moment to introduce QuickBooks and its benefits. QuickBooks is an accounting software designed for small to medium-sized businesses. It offers features for managing sales, invoice creation, expenses, payroll, and financial reports, enabling users to track their financial health and streamline their accounting tasks from anywhere. This platform supports online banking integration, tax preparation, and real-time collaboration with accountants, making financial management more efficient and accessible. Now, I'm pleased to hand it over to Lydia, who will provide a live demonstration of the QuickBooks Invoicing App and its features.
Lydia, you are muted. Sorry.
How about now? All right, thank you, Victoria. And thank you, Eddie. Thank you all for joining this webinar. My name is Lydia, and I am the founder of Workflow Magic. I am excited to share with you today our newest app. We have set up so many clients' implementation by integrating Monday and QuickBooks that we decided to launch this app in hopes of helping more Monday.com users streamline their process. So today I'm going to give you a demo of how to set up the app and show you all how it works. So first thing, we are going to go to the app marketplace, right? And we're going to look for the app QuickBooks. And there it is, it's new. And we're gonna click on it and use the app. Now with this app, there are two ways to use it. The app comes with a preset template that should make it easy for you guys to plug and play. But you also can add this integration to your existing workflow. For demo purposes, we're going to focus on adding it to a template. We're going to select our template and add the app. So while this is downloading, typically what will happen is it will prompt you to sign into your QuickBooks account. So you'll sign in with your username and password. And what we see right here under this QuickBooks invoicing folder is this preset template for you guys. So what is in it is we have this QuickBooks onboarding board with all of your documentation, your guides, how to get started, how to use the app. And in the main table, we have quick links for you on both the Monday side of things and on the QuickBooks side of things. And I know some folks that registered don't have QuickBooks accounts. So if you're thinking about getting one, I highly recommend using this discounted new user account link. And then secondly, what we have in the template is we have this board, which is our sales pipeline board where we have most of our columns set up, and this is where the real integration will happen. We also have a customer template board as well, and then a preset dashboard with widgets that are already set up, along with a support hub if you want to find any documents or request support or whatever is needed. Right. So let's talk about the board setup and how to make this work. So it's key for this app to work is that you set up your QuickBooks side, your QuickBooks account, and that you set up your Monday.com board in the right structure. So on the QuickBooks side of things, you're going to want to make sure that you have your products and services established, your payment terms, your payment methods, and if taxes are applicable. So once you have those things set up on QuickBooks, we can then focus on setting up the board structure on Monday. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in a potential lead, and we can kind of dive into this. So as folks who send out invoices, you're probably familiar that you can send out one line item for an invoice, or you can send out multiple line items. And most people typically send out multiple line items. So if we're going to use multiple line items, we're going to want to leverage sub items. So I'm just going to go in here and add some in here, and we'll cover that. Okay. All right. So now let's dive deeper into the board structure column setup that we need. So since we are going the multiple line items route, we are going to want to make sure that we have this drop-down column called product/service, a number column for quantity, and a number column for unit price, along with an optional description text. So these are the core columns that are needed for multiple line items. Now, at the line item level, what we're going to need is some sort of status. The status is going to trigger the recipe to generate and or send. And then we also need a status to update if it's been sent, paid, or overdue. So you're definitely going to want to make sure you have that. Now, what you'll notice here is we also have product, service, unit price, quantity, and description at the line item level. You're going to leverage these columns if it's a single line item in QuickBooks. So we'll skip over this for this demo. And then if you include any discounts or shipping costs, you'll want to add some number columns in the board as well. And then it's very important that you have a status column for your payment terms. And this will sync from QuickBooks. We'll go over how that works and all of that. You'll want a total invoice amount column. And really what this does is it takes all of the things that you are invoicing, like say you have multiple line items and maybe you include taxes or shipping or additional fees, and it takes the total of it. So you don't necessarily need to have a formula column in this workflow. This will automatically sync from QuickBooks. All right, so moving over to the customer side of things, as most of you are aware, you do have to create a customer in order to send an invoice. So these columns here are used to create the customer in the integration. Now, the bare minimum that you'll need is the company or the client name. And if you want to generate and send an email, you'll also need the email column. But you have the ability to add phone number, which should be a text column, along with, street address, city, state, zip code, and country. And the last three columns that you'll need is an invoice sent date, invoice paid date, and an invoice number. So these are the core columns that are needed in order to make this integration work. So what we'll do here is, now that we've got our board set up, we will head to the integration center and see what integration recipes we can add in. And there we go. All right, so when we click on the app in the Integration Center, we're going to see 9 recipes that are ready to go. And for the purpose of this demo, we are going to capture the 4 most popular recipes to use. So the first 2 recipes that we're going to use is to sync your payment terms from Monday to, from QuickBooks to Monday, along with syncing your products and your services from QuickBooks to Monday. So the way this works is we'll add this recipe in. And something to note while we're waiting for this is that the syncing is one way. So if you add your new terms or your new products in QuickBooks, it will automatically sync to Monday, but it will not sync from Monday to QuickBooks. So something just to call out if you plan to use that. So now we just synced our terms, and now we're going to sync our products and service. So like I mentioned, there are 2 ways to kind of send an invoice, one being single line items and the second being multiple line items. And with this recipe, you have the ability to sync both at the sub item level and at the line item level. So we're going to select sub items here, and we'll add that to the board. And now what we'll do is we'll go to the board and see what it looks like. So we can see right here, we have our products or services as our sub items. And you can see that this was blank earlier before, but now that we set up this integration, it just took what was in our account and created it as products and services along with our terms. So that's synced as well. So once you set this up once, you don't really need to set it up again. So now we will focus on the last 2 recipes that we'll cover. And this is really to create a customer and generate and or send an invoice. So there are 2 ways to do this. We have realized that some folks like to create a customer and generate the invoice, but want a little bit more control and visibility to what is going out. So we have a recipe here that will create a customer, generate the invoice, and then you would have to go into QuickBooks and send it out. But then we also have another recipe where you have the ability to create a customer, generate and send an invoice. And for demo purposes, we're going to go with the generate and send because who doesn't love more automation? All right. All right, so now we've got our recipe and now we're just gonna have to plug in the columns to make this work. So basically it says that when a status changes to something, so you have the ability to choose any label you want, but we're gonna go with, this status changes to generate and send invoice. Now we are going to create a customer. When mapping this out, it's important to note that the left side is the QuickBooks fields and the right side is your Monday columns. So, you can map as much as you want, name, company name, right? But the bare minimum, it is required that you just have a display name. And the display name could be your customer or or the company name. Now, if you're going to generate and send, I highly recommend using email. So I'll map that as well. We'll map out phone and then address. We don't have these columns in the board, but if you did want them, you would just map them accordingly. Right? And now we're going to map out what our invoice looks like. So like I said before, left side is the QuickBooks fields, right side is the Monday columns. So if you are using a single line item route, you are going to map out right here your products and your service, along with your quantity, your rate, and your terms. Now, if you are going the multiple line item route and you're using sub items, you do not need to map these columns out. It is critical, though, that you have the correct spelling on each column, because what it will do is it will look for those column names and then generate the invoice. So we don't essentially need this right now, but just calling that out on how to do that. And then what we're going to want to do is that once an invoice is generated and sent, we're going to want to update an invoice status. We're going to want to update the invoice number. The total amount, which I said earlier, is like the grand total, including, everything plus any fees that you might have. And then we're going to want to drop in the invoice set date. So we'll add that to the board. All right. And our last recipe that we want to add is to mark it as paid. And that is a recipe right here that says that when an invoice status changes to something or changes. All right. So when the invoice status is changed for invoice number, we're going to change that invoice status and the paid date. All right, so we've got our board set up. We've got our recipe set up. We are ready to add some data to the board to see how this would work. Now, if this is part of your process, you probably won't be coming in here and filling this out one by one, right? It's going to be baked into your process where you're gathering this information while you're trying to close the deal or throughout your sales process. All right, we're going to skip over this and we're going to go to our terms. We'll do net 30. Okay. All right, so now we have all of the required columns filled out. And what we'll do here is we're going to trigger the recipe, which is generate and send. And what we'll notice momentarily is that this status automatically changed from open to sent. So what that means now is that it was sent, and I am going to pop into my email any second right now and see what it looks like as an end user. So let's refresh. And here we go. I just got the email. It says your invoice is ready. And, all of this was customized on the QuickBooks side of things. So when you set up your account, just make sure you have that. And then if I scroll down to the bottom, I can see the invoice. I can see who it's billed to, the invoice number, the terms, when it was sent, and then it's calculating that due date. And then these are our sub items, which we had in our Monday board. It's showing quantity, rate, and amount. And then we have the ability right here to pay the invoice. Now, the way I have my QuickBooks set up is debit, credit, bank. As long as you have this set up on your account, it will accept the payment that you have set up. So this is what it looks like for the end user. And then we'll pivot back to the Monday board. And what you'll notice here is it dropped in that invoice number along with that invoice sent date. All right, so on the QuickBooks side of things, I'm going to mark this as cash so that it then triggers this status to be changed. One moment. All right, I just processed that. And there it is. So now it's marked as paid, which then syncs from QuickBooks. So you have the ability to, not worry about it syncing back and forth, and it just kind of all flows into one. So you just need to manage and send your invoices, and the rest is kind of up to the integration. So that's an overview of the app and how it works. I'm sure you guys will have more questions on the functionality of it, and we'll definitely try to cover that during the Q&A. So thank you guys, and back to you, Victoria.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lydia, for that live demo of our new app. We are now going to quickly review some highlights of the Monday CRM product and how it ties to the new app. Donalyn will walk us through it.
Thanks, Victoria. So my name is Donalyn, and I am Senior Implementation Manager here at Workflow Magic. So wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about the CRM. And I saw a question in the Q&A. While the CRM is not a requirement for using the invoicing app, it's a really mutual use case. So yeah, jumping in, everyone knows monday.com is an awesome project management tool, but the platform goes far beyond project management and includes use cases like customer relationship management. And monday.com CRM product is actually the platform's fastest growing segment and represents a high percentage of the customer implementations that we at Workflow Magic support. So here are a few key features that our customers love. Up first is emails and activities. This is really amazing because it centralizes all of your client touch points in one place, all for you. So from this app, you can send and receive emails, you can create shared email templates, capture meeting notes, and even log schedule calls, and so much more. Within the CRM, you can also simplify your communication with multiple recipients and use the platform to send mass emails and even email marketing campaigns. The item card is a really neat feature as well because it highlights all important details for your contacts or even prospects from across multiple boards all in one place, so you can easily access the info when you need it. And last but not least, the mobile CRM experience. This will allow you to send emails, log activities, and now even issue invoices on the go. And that is it for me. So I'll turn it back over to you, Victoria.
Okay, fantastic. Now that we've had a glimpse of this amazing integration and the CRM features, it's time to open the floor for your questions. Please feel free to use the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen to submit your queries, and our team will do their best to provide insightful answers. Now, we've already received a couple of questions that I'm going to read out. So, what is the difference between the Workflow Magic app and the Platform Pioneers LLC app?
That's a great question. I set a lot of demos, and that's probably one of the most popular questions is what's the difference between this QuickBooks integration app with Platform Pioneers, and what's different from ours? So essentially, their app really brings the interface of QuickBooks into Monday. You are set to have a specific board where you send out invoices, and just like we kind of use statuses as your products and your services, it's like really the interface of QuickBooks as an item card view. So with our app, we added a little bit more customization in that you can add it to any workflow, any board that you want. And it's just to make it a little bit simpler because most people, their processes are a little complex, and just kind of holding it to one board is very challenging. So that is the difference between our app and their app. We also do have a little bit of a difference of pricing as well. Theirs is a flat fee, where ours is very much action-based. So, the more invoices you send, the higher your monthly bill will be. But it kind of gives a good opportunity for other folks who, send invoices but don't need to pay kind of a flat fee.
Okay, we have a question here. My client currently uses monday.com, and I am trying to figure out how this works for them. I would like to test first before introducing it to my client. How can I start?
Oh, that's a great question. So we're offering a 4-week free trial, so feel free to download it. I also I have a lot of demos where I work with people to kind of get it up and running. So we can definitely schedule a call offline and try to see how this can work for you and your client.
Okay, great. We have an anonymous question says, what about overpaid or underpaid invoices? I have a client that said that these are possible outcomes of a payment. Is there a way to handle these cases?
Yeah. Victoria, do you mind if I just share my screen? I'm going to go back to that really quick. So what we have here is we have our invoice status, right? And what you'll see is it has one label that is overpaid, or overdue, right? And the way that works, it's automatically synced, is that whatever your net terms are versus the day you sent it, right? Remember how I showed you that invoice due date? Once that day passes and this is not paid, this will automatically change to overdue. So you don't need to worry about that. And I've seen some folks really kind of take this to the next level by leveraging Monday's automations to, send reminders and notify people and themselves when these things happen. So you can definitely, use that as well. And then one other thing is if you do leverage the customer board, pop that over, right? Let's say you leverage this right here. There are statuses which will have to sync where it says partially paid, overdue. And with this board, you have the ability. So let's say a client pays their invoice is $100 and they pay 50, right? So what'll happen with this board is it will say 50 and then it will say the remaining there with a status that says partially paid. So this app definitely supports those issues.
Okay. We have another anonymous question. It says, can you edit, update an invoice that already exists in QuickBooks? Or is the app limited to just a one-time creation of an invoice?
So that's a great question. The app is not limited to a one-time creation. So what you can do is you can actually re-trigger the label. So if you're going the generate route, you would just clear that status column, re-trigger it, and then a new invoice would be created. Same with the invoice generating and sending it as well. So you just need to re-trigger that label, and then it will override, update the invoice number, and kind of continue as usual.
Okay, we have another question here. Thanks for the session. We use both Monday and QuickBooks mostly in Spanish. Will this transfer with the integration?
So is the QuickBooks side of things set up in Spanish? So from my understanding, your terms and your payments, your products and services should sync in Spanish. You should have the ability as well to label all of your columns in Spanish as well, as long as you are mapping it accordingly. So I don't see that there being a limitation to just English.
Okay. And we have some anonymous questions. What if I already have a customer on QuickBooks? Does the integration create existing customers?
That's a fantastic question. So it does not create an existing customer. When you map out the display name, you're going to want to map out to what you have it in QuickBooks. So if you have ABC Company, right, you're going to want to make sure that you have ABC Company spelled correctly on Monday. And then what it will do with the integration, if it already exists, it's just going to find it and then add that invoice to the customer.
Okay. Okay, so another question is, what is the pricing and what is considered a monthly action?
Yeah, and I'm happy to share my screen as well with that. So we kind of go over the pricing. There it is. Okay. So like I mentioned briefly before, the plans for this are based off of monthly actions. So you've got a set of actions that you have for each package. And the way this works is every time a recipe is used, it will count as an action. So in this case, we use 4 recipes, 2 to sync, 1 to send, and 1 to mark it as paid. So that would be 4 recipes. I typically tell folks that it's about two actions per invoice. So if you're sending 50 invoices a month, you might want to look at the medium plan. So that's how our pricing works. And if you do happen to send more than 500 invoices a month, you could definitely reach out to support and we'd be happy to set you up with a larger package.
Okay. We have some other questions here. It says, what type of QuickBooks account do I need to have?
Yeah, I get this question often as well. So this app works really well and only with the QuickBooks Online platform. I know some folks have desktop, and at this moment there is no integration with that.
Okay. It says, will my logo be present on the invoice, or is it just Workflow Magics?
Yes. So as I showed you guys the invoice, you saw our logo on there, and what we did in order for that to happen is we set it up on the QuickBooks side of things. So like I mentioned earlier, it's critical that you have your QuickBooks set up, and once you have that set up, it will just kind of flow with the app. So you just have to set that up on your end.
Okay. Okay, we have Rachel with a question. It says, what happens when you hit your plan limit?
Great question. You'll be notified, like most other apps, that you've reached your limit and you have the ability to upgrade as well.
Okay. Oh, it says, I am from Canada. How do I include taxes on the invoice?
This is another really good question. So I know we have some folks from all over the globe, but with QuickBooks in Canada, it is essential. It's a QuickBooks side of things that it's essential that you have your taxes for each product and services established in the in on the QuickBooks side of things. So you've got product one, it's $5. The tax rate is 3%. You must set that up on the QuickBooks side of things in order for this app to work, because it will automatically sync once you have that set up.
Okay. It says, if I add terms on QuickBooks, will it reflect back on Monday?
No. So like I mentioned earlier, the sync between your terms and your products and services are one way. So it's coming from Monday to QuickBooks. So just something to note on that.
Okay. If I generate the invoice, can I review it on monday.com and press send? How does that work?
That's a good question. We often get this one a lot as well. So in order to view it right now, you would have to go into QuickBooks. But I could see us in the future maybe adding a new feature where you can review it in your Monday board. But for right now, you would have to review it on the QuickBooks side of things.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for all of your questions. And thank you so much for you all for joining us today. We hope that you are as excited as we are about the possibilities this integration opens up. I will leave you with the QR code once again. And if you have any more questions, don't forget to visit our website, workflowmagic.co, for more information or to get in touch with our team. I know that maybe you have more questions, so you can book a demo or we can talk more about the app. So yeah, have a great day, and we look forward to assisting you on your journey to optimize workflows and financial excellence. I'll leave this QR code a few more minutes so that you have some time to scan the code.